Hello, everyone, dear viewers of the channel. I am Halyna, the Guardian of Secrets, a researcher of mystical phenomena, and here with me is Vadym, a historian interested in folk culture. Today, Vadym, we're delving into a realm that touches every single one of us, yet remains shrouded in mystery, the world of dreams. Specifically, ancient Ukrainian dream interpretations, how our ancestors sought prophetic visions and hidden meanings in their nightly journeys. For them, dreams weren't just random brain activity, they were windows into the future, messages from the unseen, or even guidance from the spirits of their ancestors. Losing this knowledge, Vadym, feels like losing a piece of our very soul, our connection to a deeper understanding of life.
Halyna, it's certainly a captivating topic, and I appreciate the profound cultural significance you attach to it. From a historical perspective, the human fascination with dreams is universal, stretching back millennia. However, my immediate question is, what constitutes a prophetic vision versus a simple vivid dream? And what kind of evidence or systematic approach did our ancestors use to differentiate them beyond anecdotal accounts? Was there a codified system, or was it more akin to folk belief and shared symbolism?
Oh, it was a deeply ingrained system, Vadym, passed down through generations, primarily orally, but also through specific actions and observations. Our ancestors believed that the soul, during sleep, could travel, interact with other realms, and receive direct messages. For instance, a dream of clear, flowing water was almost universally interpreted as good fortune, health, or an upcoming celebration. But murky, stagnant water, that often signified illness, sorrow, or obstacles. It wasn't merely symbolism, it was a direct premonition. The intensity, the recurring nature, and often the presence of certain figures, like a departed relative, were key indicators of a prophetic dream.
Interesting. So the symbolism itself was largely consistent, much like an early form of a psychological lexicon. But how did these interpretations become established? Was it through consistent observation of events following specific dreams, a sort of proto-scientific pattern recognition over centuries? Or were these interpretations inherently linked to the surrounding environment and daily struggles? For example, water, being vital for life and agriculture, naturally carries positive connotations when clear, and negative ones when polluted or still, signifying drought or disease. This could be more an extrapolation from reality rather than a mystical prophecy.
It's both, Vadym, and that's the beauty of it. While practical observations certainly played a part, understanding the environment, the core belief was that the dream world transcended the mundane. Take, for example, dreaming of a white horse. For a young girl, it could mean an impending marriage to a good man. For a farmer, a bountiful harvest. For a warrior, victory. It's a powerful, pure symbol. But the interpretation wasn't just logical, it carried an emotional weight, a spiritual conviction. It was believed that the duhovny svit, the spiritual world, communicated through these archetypes. Dream interpreters, often elder women or motanki, spiritual guides, didn't just decode, they felt the dream's energy, its essence.
That's where my historian's curiosity clashes with the mystic's belief. While I acknowledge the emotional and spiritual resonance of these symbols within the culture, I'd argue that the prophecy often lay in the interpretation rather than the dream itself. If a young woman dreams of a white horse and then meets a suitor, is it because the dream predicted it, or because she, subconsciously influenced by the interpretation, was more receptive to seeing a potential suitor, perhaps even projecting the white horse qualities onto someone? It's a fascinating interplay of belief shaping perception and outcome. Do we have any historical records, perhaps in chronicles or private journals, of specific dreams and their subsequent confirmed fulfillment?
Oh, absolutely, Vadym. While not always in official chronicles, many ethnographic collections, family histories, and even folk tales recount instances. There's a particularly chilling legend about a woman who dreamt 3 nights in a row of a black raven landing on her roof, each time letting out a mournful cry. She confided in her mother, who immediately knew this signified a death. Within the week, her younger brother, who was away at war, was confirmed to have fallen in battle precisely on the 3rd night of her dream. For her, and for her community, it wasn't a coincidence. It was an undeniable premonition, a message delivered across vast distances and realms. How can one explain such precise timing and imagery through mere psychology?
Such stories are powerful, Halyna, and certainly resonate deeply within a cultural context that expects and believes in such premonitions. From a critical historical standpoint, however, these accounts are almost always post hoc. The dream is remembered and interpreted after the event it purportedly predicted. Human memory is notoriously fallible and tends to selectively emphasize confirming details while forgetting inconsistencies. The raven, for instance, is a widespread symbol of death in many cultures, so its appearance in a dream, especially during wartime, would naturally evoke fear and be easily linked to any subsequent tragedy. I'm curious, did our ancestors also distinguish between bad dreams that could be avoided through ritual and prophetic dreams that were immutable?
They absolutely did. This is crucial. Not all bad dreams were prophecies of doom. Some were warnings, others were tests, and some could indeed be canceled or altered. If one had a nightmare, especially a recurring one, there were rituals to wash away the dream. One common practice was to tell the dream to running water, a river, or a stream, believing that the water would carry away the negative energy. Or, upon waking, one might immediately turn their pillow inside out or spit 3 times over their left shoulder. These were not just superstitions, they were active ways of engaging with the dream world, asserting agency over one's fate, guided by the belief that the spiritual world was responsive.
That's an excellent point, Halyna. Those rituals transform the dream experience from passive reception to active engagement, providing a sense of control and agency for individuals facing uncertainty. It's a very human response to the unknown. From a psychological perspective, these rituals could serve as a form of cognitive reframing, helping the individual to emotionally process and dismiss the anxiety caused by a negative dream. It's akin to a symbolic cleansing. Were there specific dream books or formal compilations of interpretations, or was it more of a shared cultural understanding, like a common language of symbols?
There were no formal dream books in the way we might think of them today, printed volumes available to all. The knowledge was largely esoteric, passed down through elder to apprentice, within families, or through community wise women and men. It was a living, breathing tradition. However, the interpretations were remarkably consistent across regions, suggesting a foundational, shared understanding of symbols rooted in our pagan past and intertwined with Christian beliefs. For example, a dream of flying was often seen as the soul's freedom, but if you fell while flying, it could signal a stumble in life or a fall from grace. This collective consciousness around dream symbols is what makes it so fascinating.
And yet, Halyna, we can see parallels in other cultures too, can't we? The universality of certain dream archetypes like falling, flying, being chased suggests a deeper shared human psyche, as Carl Jung famously explored with his concept of the collective unconscious. Perhaps our ancestors weren't just predicting the future, but rather tapping into these universal symbols and then filtering them through their specific cultural lens, giving them local meaning and predictive power based on their belief systems. It's an instruction manual, perhaps, rather than a crystal ball.
But sometimes, Vadym, it felt undeniably like a crystal ball. There are stories of young girls dreaming of their future husbands' faces, only to meet them months later. Or farmers dreaming of a specific corner of their field being barren, and indeed it would yield less. This isn't just about interpretation, it's about information being received from beyond the veil of waking consciousness. And it's why it's so vital we don't lose these stories. They are not mere superstitions. They are echoes of an ancient wisdom that connected us deeply to the fabric of existence.
We'd love to hear from our listeners too. Have you ever had a dream that felt undeniably prophetic or that guided you in a profound way? Share your stories in the comments below. Your experiences truly bring these ancient traditions to life.
I agree that these traditions offer invaluable insight into the historical mindset and cultural values of our ancestors. Even if we approach them from a purely rational standpoint, they reveal what was important to people, what they feared, and what they hoped for. The symbols themselves, fields, water, animals, family members, reflect the core elements of their daily lives and spiritual world. So even without literal prophecy, dreams become a rich source for understanding their worldview and their psychological landscape.
Precisely, and the practices around them were not passive. There were even methods to induce prophetic dreams, especially for significant life decisions. Sleeping on a crossroad or with a specific herb like wormwood under your pillow were believed to open the channel for clearer messages. Young women might perform specific rituals before bed to dream of their future betrothed. It was an active seeking of guidance, not just waiting for dreams to happen.
And in these cases, the expectation itself could influence the dream content. If you're actively trying to dream of a suitor, your subconscious is primed to construct such a scenario. The mind, being a powerful interpreter and storyteller, might then weave together elements from your daily interactions and desires into a dream that feels profoundly meaningful, especially when interpreted through a pre-existing cultural framework. The outcome, then, becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy of sorts, but one based on internal psychological mechanisms rather than external mystical intervention. But what about dreams that provide information you couldn't possibly know, Vadym? Information about distant relatives or events that happen far away. This is where the rational mind often falters and the spiritual interpretation truly shines. These weren't just psychological projections, they were perceived as genuine communications, a spiritual telegraph. This belief gave people